I apologize because my first slide does not have my name or anything like that on it, like all these other people that prepared better. I just jump right into it. So, Judy Takacs is my name. That's not the first slide. There we go. Way before Poseidon raped the beautiful Medusa in Athena's temple, and before Athena victim blamed the poor girl and turned her into a deadly snake-headed gorgon for the crime of being raped in the wrong place, hashtag Medusa too. Before the petty and jealous Athena again turned the outspoken, creative, and highly skilled fiber artist Arachne into a spider for besting her at a weaving contest. Before the great Sphinx was charged with guarding the royal souls buried in the pyramids at Giza, and well before he was rewritten as a conniving female anthropomorph demoted to the role of quizzing hapless travelers with deadly riddles. Before Venus de Milo lost her arms and became an icon of beauty who could do nothing but stand there and be admired, and way before I painted her restoring her arms herself. Before Winged Victory lost her head and her arms, but grew massive wings to inspire great warriors to defeat other great warriors. And way before my Winged Victory claimed a victory for herself, repurposing the weapons of her oppressors. Before Zeus turned himself into a swan and raped poor Leda. Did you know that Leda became pregnant with Helen of Troy, whose face launched 1,000 ships and served as the excuse for the Trojan War? Here again, great warriors had to defeat other great warriors. Before Homer's epic, where Odysseus was challenged by not one, not two, but 3 islands of beautiful, lonely women, Circe, the Sirens, and Calypso, all desperate for a man, used their mighty powers to enchant this squat little sailor to fall in love with them. Before the 3 fates determined anyone's fate, and way before my fates had to wrestle with the fate of a scary and powerful man who wears a really, really long red necktie and holds all our fates in his tiny little hands. Before the pantheon of Greek gods inspired superheroes, fairy tales, legends, art, and literature, and also misogynistic stereotypes, cultural biases, and prejudices that still haunt us today. Before all that, there was Gaia. Almighty Gaia created everything. Herself, the universe, the heavens and earth. She created her own husband and gave birth to 12 titans, 6 male, 6 female, to rule over the elements of the natural and spiritual world. Gaia was actually Zeus's great-grandmother, sorry. And before my painting of Gaia, there was Christy Kopes, a renowned Ohio ceramicist who creates spiritual prayer bowls. She asked me if I would paint her, and I said, I'll think of a goddess for you. I didn't have to look too far to figure out that she was perfect for Gaia, mother of everything. Christy was totally on board, and how. A few years back, she had created her mothering prayer bowl, which you see here. In her own words, it's an autobiographical mandala of her own resilience as a woman, a mother, an other mother, and the strength and scars that come from that hard work. This is manifested in the organic process she uses to create her prayer bowls, formed with fire to uncover the pain and beauty, passion and power of this shared experience of mothering. The center of her mothering prayer bowl is shown here and inspires her copper leaf halo in my painting. She creates the universe in her lap, as many mothers do, from copper, stardust, and eternal ether, love, wisdom, and necessity. Christy poses in an African tribal dress she wore to a party we both attended. The invitation said, wear something fabulous. Now I paint Gaia's Titan children. Thea, Titan of Sunlight, is played by Mary Kay Thomas, an artist and activist who organizes community mural projects, bringing beauty, art, and light to the blighted areas of East Cleveland. Themis, Titan of Justice, is played by Martha Pontoni, a real-life LGBTQ plus activist who organized the first Cleveland Pride parades back in the 90s. She wields a gavel, wears a progressive flag judge's robe with a Ruth Bader Ginsburg collar to declare that love is love. It even says that in the Bible. Liberté, played by youthful artist activist Libzef Negro, is Titan goddess of the moon and menstruation. Liberté means freedom because when you get your period, it means you are free from being pregnant for another moon cycle, but also free to get pregnant next month. Last April, my hometown Cleveland was on the path of totality, so I painted Chiaroscuro, Titan goddess of the eclipse, also played by Lib, who has two-toned hair in real life. Her hand puppet shadows and Ouroboros tattoo tell the eclipse mythology of the ancients. There are many more Titans to come: water, truth, prophecy, faith, optimism, mortality, and even more that I will make up as needed. All will be women except for one, fertility, because guys, we still need you for something. Not Gaia though. She's very self-sufficient. She mothered everything, and like many strong women that you might know or be, she did it all by herself. Okay. Any questions?
Everybody's speechless. So the lineage that you showed, is that one of your own making or using from other mythology?
The lineage, that was something I found on the internet with, I just kind of use it as a description of like which ones I'm filling in. There are 12 Titans, like I said, 6 of them female, 6 of them male. A lot of them are duplicate Titans, like one for freshwater, one for saltwater. You know, I'm going to combine those two into one just for water. And I'm making up other ones that are necessary that I feel need, you know, like mortality is something that I feel like is an important enough thing, and fertility as well. There was no Titan of fertility, but I'm taking liberties with that. So I kind of use that as a diagram that I found and just filled in the pictures. So.
Hi. I'm curious to know what your background is and how you decided to actually start creating all these mythological women.
I went to the Cleveland Institute of Arts and graduated in 1986 as an illustration and portrait major. And then I was a graphic designer for many, many years. And then I had babies for a bunch of years. And then I came back to painting full time in 2009, essentially, when we built a studio in our house. I feel like with my art, I'm always solving problems. One of my catchphrases on my, you know, when somebody asks for a bio is, I want to save the world one painting at a time. And my weapon of choice is my paintbrush. So I want to fix stuff. I want to send feminist messages. One of my early projects was the Chicks with Balls project, where I looked at women that I knew, women that I was related to, and women that volunteered to pose for me that were doing ordinary women doing amazing things behind the scenes, often with no recognition. You know, holding down jobs and families and taking care of aging parents and trying teenagers and just, you know, the whole kind of thing. And so I wanted to give some recognition there. Then I have about 50 of those, and that show traveled for, you know, to a bunch of places, including Pennsylvania and Ohio. And so then I kind of transitioned to the mythology aspect because it's such a treasure trove of visually interesting stories and fantasies and essentially, I mean, mythology. And I do look at the mythology of all the religions, not just, Greek mythology, which nobody is offended by because nobody believes in it anymore. I do look at Christianity as well, and I'm not sure if I had any Christian images. I've named some of the pieces after Bible verses, trying to kind of reach across the aisle, like, hey, this is in the Bible too. There's good things in there. You can, find reasons to love and find reasons to hate. But I feel like I'm always trying to fix stuff, solve problems that the world needs solved.
Other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Judy. Oh, do you have one more?
Thank you.
And our last artist tonight is Bill Miller.